Next, a poem, Open the Doors Again, by Liz Lochhead, the Scots Makar or national poet. And it's very much drawing upon an earlier poem by her predecessor, Edwin Morgan, when this building was opened.
Just to further put us in mind of what Edwin Morgan wrote for the opening of this wonderful building on October the 9th, 2004, this is called Open. Open the doors, said the poet Morgan, singing out about our dearest, deepest wish, that the work of this, our Scottish Parliament, begin, and the light of the mind shine out, as the light of that new day shone in. Poets have never been our fond of politicians, are rightly guy-weary of flags and slogans. The Saltire is not a bit of blue sky with a vote on it. When Burns vented his scorn for thon parcel of rogues, they were our ain rogues, mind, in our ain nation. Morgan wasna blate either about dishing out a flightin in advance to you, our brand new parliamentarians. He tell't you to no be a nest of fearties, nor a phalanx of forelock tuggers, nor a symposium of procrastinators. He charged you to never ever dare come out with it wasna me, nae excuse for thon droopy mantra. He rhymed off quite a catalogue of what we most definitely did not and do not want. What do the people want of the place? He asked. Answered that it be filled with thinking persons as open, aye open, and adventurous as its architecture. Now, justice is a fine and bonny word to engrave upon a mace, as are integrity, compassion, and wisdom. Grand concepts, qualities to grace every last thinking person of our Parliament. But above all, openness. How else to turn an abstract noun, a name, into a concrete verb, a doing word? Open your ears, listen, let the people petition and be heard. Justice, wisdom, compassion, integrity. Open your eyes and see. Integrity, compassion, justice, wisdom. Open your hearts and hope. Open your minds to change. Open the future, because it's not yet written. It's as open as that it's coming yet is true, but close the gap between what we say and what we do. Open the doors. Let the work of this, our fourth Parliament, begin. Let the light of the open mind shine out. Let the clear and open light of day shine in.
The magnificent Liz Lochhead, definitely no blate when it comes to telling politics and politicians the way things are. A couple of quotes there, of course, many from Edwin Morgan, but it's coming yet, a reference to the song A Man's a Man.
Your Majesty, on behalf of the people of Scotland, can I thank you for declaring this fourth session of the reconvened Scottish Parliament open. Although, as some of our friends in the press will assuredly point out, we will then immediately move into recess. Your Majesty has been the firmest of friends of this Parliament, particularly in some of our early and difficult years, and you now return to demonstrate that confidence as we move into a different age. Scotland and Parliament have changed since you first came to congratulate our newly democratised nation in 1999. We have grown in esteem and ambition, and we wish to grow more. Since May, a whole clamour of voices have been scrambled to debate the road ahead. Some urge us to ignore Edwin Morgan's call, repeated by our new Makar, to be bold. But the nest of fearties approach is for another time and place. This is a country increasingly comfortable in its own skin. We aspire to be more successful, more dynamic, fairer and greener. We want to uphold the values of the common weal, to to protect the vulnerable, nurture the young. We want to emerge from current economic difficulties into better times. Your Majesty, can I quote from a recent speech which you made to another nation of these islands, and one which was received with great praise and warmth. At a banquet in Dublin Castle, after an impressive opening in the Irish language that I will not attempt to emulate, you said, "Together we have much to celebrate. The ties between our people, the shared values, the economic, business and cultural links that make us so much more than just neighbours. They make us firm friends and equal partners. Scotland, Ireland, England and Wales. Together we do have much to celebrate. The English language of Shakespeare, James Joyce, Dylan Thomas, Edward Morgan himself. One of the greatest works in that language, of course, is the King James Bible, which is 400 years old this very year. The translation was first suggested not at Hampton Court, as is often claimed, but at the General Assembly of the Church of Scotland in Burntisle in Fife in 1601. It was driven by Scottish egalitarianism, a commitment to education, the desire that everyone should be able to read and understand Scripture. The idea travelled south with King James VI of Scots when he accepted the English crown 2 years later. It was brought then to life by scholars in Cambridge, Oxford and Westminster. It has given us some of the most common phrases in the language we share. For example, a thorn in the flesh, from Corinthians 12:7, a fly in the ointment, Ecclesiastes 10:1, turning the world upside down, Acts 17:6, and a law unto themselves, Romans 2:14. Phrases which occasionally resound around this chamber and are not always deployed in the interests of the government. So there is much that we share, this much we know. But the nations of these islands are also distinctive, with our own unique history and culture, our own economic challenges and our own opportunities. Some of us believe the best way to articulate that uniqueness and tackle these challenges lies within ourselves and should be fully expressed within the work of this Parliament. However, whatever constitutional path the people of Scotland choose, and it is their choice to make, we will aspire to be, in your words, firm friends and equal partners. It gave me great pleasure recently to represent Scotland at the wedding of your grandson in Westminster Abbey. And we look forward, as you do, to another wedding, that of your granddaughter Zara in the Canongate Kirk, a holy place which you first visited in the first day of your first visit to Scotland as our Queen. It is worth remembering that the Canongate itself was commissioned in 1688 by King James VII, King of both Scotland and England, when these two countries had their own parliaments in Edinburgh and London. From 1603 until this Parliament entered a rather long adjournment in 1707, your predecessors reigned over two sovereign nations, and there was nothing particularly unusual in that arrangement. And today, Your Majesty, you come here as Queen of Scots, but also as head of state of 16 different realms and leader of a Commonwealth comprising 54 nations. It's a role which you have always taken seriously and discharged flawlessly. I look forward to welcoming you to the Commonwealth Games, which take place in Glasgow in 3 years' time. In your last Christmas address, you mentioned the Delhi Games and observed that the smallest nations get the largest cheers. The City of Glasgow, therefore, can guarantee a deafening welcome in 2014 when Scotland will compete in the Games as the host nation. We are a proud people, keen to contribute to the global common weal and that marvellous egalitarian principle which inspires the modern Commonwealth. Or as the King James Bible would have it, to everything there is a season and a time. For Scotland, for this Parliament, this can be a good season and a good time.
Remarkable speech by the First Minister, clever, historical, but very much also up-to-date and explicit suggestion that independence would allow the Queen to be the Queen of Scots in an independent Scotland. Again, that point about ending the 1707 union, but not the 1603 version. Now Karine Polwart again, with her own composition, Follow the Heron.
The back of the winter is broken, and light lingers long by the door, and the seeds of the summer have spoken the dawn dances over the bay. Sleep blows the breath of the morning away, and we follow the heron home. In darkness we cradled our sorrow and stoked all our fires with fear. Now these bones that lie empty and hollow are ready for gladness to cheer. And by night and day we'll sport and we'll play and delight as the dawn dances over the bay. Sleep blows the breath of the morning away, and we follow the heron home. So long may you sing of the salmon and the snow-scented sounds of your home, while the north wind delivers its sermon of ice and salt water and stone. And by night and day we'll sport and we'll play and delight as the dawn dances over the bay. Sleep blows the breath of the morning away, and we follow the heron home. And by night and day we'll sport and we'll play and delight as the dawn dances over the bay. Sleep blows the breath of the morning away, and we follow the heron home. And we follow the heron home.
Charming. Kirsty Grace taking the lead vocals there on Corinne Colbert's composition Follow the Heron, with Kim Edgar playing the piano. We're coming to the close here of the ceremonial in the chamber itself, and the presiding officer will close the meeting.
I now close this meeting.
Now the Duke of Hamilton comes forward as the fanfare Blackbirds is played. It's the first time the current Duke, the 16th Duke of Hamilton, has had the task of carrying the crown. He took over from his father, of course, only last year. The archers move into position. The Queen, the presiding officer, the Duke of Edinburgh, following the crown there. The crown, in its remodelled form in 1540, was first crowned the infant Mary Queen of Scots in 1543, and today in 2011 it's being used in the ceremony opening the new 5-year session, rather than 5-year session of the Scots Parliament. There it is, the black and white corridor, replicating the corridor there is in the temporary building that Parliament used in the Mound. I must say this one looks more like a little something out of Alice Through the Looking Glass, but I love it. It's absolutely beautiful. The heralds and the crown. Part of the honours of Scotland, returned to Edinburgh Castle in 1707, placed in an oak chest for safekeeping, and only rediscovered, if you like, in 1818 at the instigation of Sir Walter Scott. I've got a name check earlier from Tom Devine. Yes, Isabel, this is actually, she's chatting to Bob Reid at the moment from North Lanarkshire. Bob is one of 10 taking part in an exhibition called Moving Stories. To explain what this is, these are individuals who have engaged with the Parliament in various ways, petitioning it, coming along to debates, arguing for changes in the law or whatever. And it was regarded as such a successful exercise that they took the exhibition around Scotland, and now the 10 of them are brought to the Parliament here. Bob actually set up the North Lanarkshire Scramble and Quad Bike Club to try and support young people in the area. Now, the Queen has been touring that exhibition there to see how things are going. Now we're moving on to the issue of the portrait. You can just see the portrait through in the background there, the Queen about to take a glance at it. There's a photographic portrait done of the Queen by Sean Morovsky, who's a 24-year-old graduate of the Reid Carr HND photography course. But next to him, of course, a rather more famous photographer, Harry Benson, Glasgow-born, US-based star photographer who's done photographs of the presiding officers. That's a better picture now of the portrait of the Queen there. The sitting took place last year in the throne room in the Palace of Holyrood House. Harry having a chat there with Her Majesty the Queen. A very experienced photographer, and the tyro photographer there on the left, but it was actually the tyro, the apprentice, who took the picture under the guidance of Harry, if you like, as a mentor. What the Queen makes of it is rather splendid, isn't it? Rather superb. Wearing a white gown there in the portrait, and I'm not sure what the colour of blue is. I give way to my colleagues, Izzy. This is the main hall, the main entrance hall of Parliament for people who have been. It's where you sign the book, as the Queen's about to do, for rather a different purpose. You sign the book to gain a pass for entry. I think Her Majesty the Queen is a welcome guest without signing the book, which she's signing the book to register the fact that it's the opening of the 4th session of Parliament, of course. The rather low entry point there, from there the idea was you move out into the splendour and light of the parliamentary chamber. The entry hall is used, main hall is used very, very commonly for exhibitions and events, all to do with this idea of access. And as I say, that exhibition of moving stories, we saw the last of the ones there with Bob. The exhibition of moving stories is stressing this point about the accessibility of the Parliament. These were 10 individuals who, maybe tried to get a change in the law, maybe lobbied about healthcare, or simply sought access to their MSPs or to the Petitions Committee of Parliament. The Duke of Edinburgh appending his signature as well. And after this, Her Majesty the Queen will just pop across the road to the Palace of Holyrood House. The guard waiting outside for her as she emerges, the Saltires and the Guard of Honour. Absolutely perfect. I'm sure she'll be back. Certainly that's the 7th time she's been to Parliament, so she's a very regular visitor indeed. I should just say that in the afternoon, we've had the royal event in the morning, the formal opening, the opening of the 4th session. But in the afternoon, as the riding comes down to Queensberry House and to the Parliament, in the afternoon there's a programme of entertainment laid on, rock bands, folk bands, traditional music, contemporary music, all again this idea of it being the People's Parliament rather than just purely a royal occasion, although very much a royal occasion it is. And there we go, the short stroll across the road to our official residence in Scotland, the Palace of Holyrood House. The posy being presented. Oh, he's gone all shy. Well done, Aaron. That was brilliant. Gosh, no need to be shy. It was superbly well done. Isn't it a beautiful sunny day for the event as well? Absolutely superb given the weather we've had, but it's beautiful. Sunshine today for the Queen's visit. It's excellent. Patricia Marwick escorts Her Majesty the Queen, the Duke of Edinburgh, and of course the 2 deputy presiding officers. nipping over the way. I think Tricia Marwick can be rather proud of her. The part she played in today's event, it's the first time for her. I said it was the first time for the Duke of Hamilton carrying the crown, but Tricia Marwick had a speaking part, and it was the first time for her as well as the newly elected presiding officer. I thought she did rather well. In fact, I think she did splendidly. The speech, as Tom Devine was mentioning, was a combination of respect, warmth and dignity, but also very much that egalitarian thread that there was throughout much of the proceedings. The poem by Liz Lochhead, certainly, but very much the speech by the PO as well. A salute, a guard of honour, and the events in the Parliament of Holyrood are over as the Queen heads to the Palace of Holyrood